Hey guys, it's not often when your heart and your head are in agreement. I officially confirm that I grew up, even though I'm in my mid-30s and the Veilguard wasn't made for my age group and people of my niche. That's a sad thing, of course, but it doesn't mean I will take away the fun from other people who are excited about the game. So, you know me, I always try to expose both the emotional and analytical sides of one situation, and then we discuss what you find more interesting or important. Why do I feel weird? Why don't I connect with the companions and the new lore that Bioware introduced? Why did I like the game in general? And it was fun, really. But I'm not inspired to create new videos where we can speculate about the new information. Why do I even ask myself these questions after a decade of waiting? I'm supposed to be happy, right? I should be pleased. So this video will be difficult as the Veilguard left me conflicted and confused. I'm incredibly grateful that my Inquisitor got her happy ending and people of Thedas didn't die due to Solace ritual. However, the fact that I can't jump back into the game to test what will happen if I choose to complete the game with a tragic, or as some people call it, bad ending, makes me take a moment and think. You know the rules on this channel. If you criticize, provide a solution. That's what I'm going to do. And remember to be respectful in the comments. We will find an understanding only with a civil conversation. Our heads need to stay calm while the speeches are clear and respectful. So this analysis took me a while because my fangirl emotions took over. As a consumer, I was entertained for 83 hours. As a thinking person, I was deeply hurt. That confusion didn't help me with the review, and confusion will be the starting point for this investigation. My emotional response was too strong to ignore it, therefore we will have two rating systems simultaneously. One is analytical. The other is from a lore fan of the RPG that used to dictate the rules to the whole market. Why is it fair to have two rating systems? Well, because the Veilguard is a game with a people-pleaser disorder.
It's... delicious!
You don't have to pretend to like it.
I mean, it's good! It's nice and... warm?
Rook's right. You don't have to pretend. I won't be upset if you don't like coffee.
He really wouldn't.
You might jump into the subject and say, wait, Miller, you are not pleased and many other gamers are confused too. Yeah, that's how a group of people reacts to a product which is so afraid to be real that it puts on a pleasing mask. I strongly disagree with the loud campaigns against the Veilguard as if they pushed something to someone's throat. It's shallow thinking and an easy tag to put on. Dragon Age has always had queer and gay characters. All fans know it. The problem is deeper. The real problem is in the delivery of the story. Honesty without kindness is cruelty, and kindness without honesty is manipulation. We have been manipulated and misled by marketing campaigns. As they said, the Veilguard wanted to respect the old fans and the new ones who have never played Origins or Dragon Age 2. The Veilguard wanted to be good for everyone. Aggressive slashers, romantic daydreamers, wise hermits, tired hard workers, the oppressed from all around the world, and the mysterious people who needed subtitles to understand what kind of choice they made. These are 6 different groups of people. Therefore, all of them have their niches, and sometimes these niches merge to become something new. The golden rule of any product is creating its value and resolving a customer's pain. One product can cover from 1 to 3 niches due to the psychological differences and behavioral patterns we express. 3 niches, not 6. Sometimes we get unicorns like Baldur's Gate 3, The Witcher 3, or Cyberpunk 2077. A funny coincidence that all these games are made by European studios that know who they are and who their customers are. Being real and authentic delivers much better value to the community. With the Veilguard, it was a roller coaster of what am I playing, and finally I'm back in Thedas again. On and off. On and off. The cycle that ended only after 80 hours when I started my final quest, which was breathtaking and wonderful by all means. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I was very happy. So let's talk about the first segment of our review. Immersion. I will start every chapter with some lists of ups and downs for each category, so enjoy the read. I can't praise enough the artists who created locations, armor sets, weapons, and all the little things that filled the world. It was beautiful, starting from the variegated valleys of Arlathon Forest and ending with mysterious corners of Trevisa streets or Hosberg blighted settlements. They did a fantastic job and breathed life into the visual world of this game. I loved every little object there. It was fun to explore. The puzzles were easy at start, and then they had multiple steps, and these steps didn't take much time. But you know what surprised me? The first immersion breaking point is that the game didn't give even a minute to have a look around, enjoy the ambience, and figure out how to solve the puzzle in my head before I start jumping around. The moment you enter the scene, the Veilguard treats you like the game is afraid that you will miss a puzzle. The companions react to the setting, giving you hints on what to use and how to solve it. The game literally punishes you for being analytical and taking time. The character art style is not to my liking. I explained it in the previous videos, however, I will repeat that throughout the game. I could feel that different people worked on it. It applies to visual aspects and writing, so it's the second immersion breaking point for me. I had constant disconnections because the Veilguard addressed at least 4 different niches without having one unifying thread. We are talking about the product creating 101 basic stuff again. So it looked like there was no senior editor who had a vision of how to put everything together, so they just copy-pasted many things from other video game. And I'm mostly talking about the God of War right now. Visually, we had cinematic experience where voice actors believed in their characters, their voices changed through emotion, and we felt them. And then we had a manually curated animation of heroic posture that makes no sense in the context, or a cycle of repeated nods and brow rises with voice lines that expressed minimal character. By the way, Tosh is one of the most believable characters. I laughed when it came to Tosh Spunta.
Acting weird.
Smells like melon and wood smoke.
Hey! No! No! Sit your ass back down.
This character was the only one who didn't shout weird superheroic phrases amidst the fight. However, don't you find it a bit ironic that Bioware created a story about a non-binary character whose core problem is figuring out that they are non-binary, and then Rook has no choice but to force Tosh into a binary choice of culture. Either a Vayne or a Kyun. Why can't Tosh embrace both cultures and take responsibility for the choices when the cultures conflict with each other? I mean, I have Moldovan blood in me. Doesn't mean I have to forget about it because I live in the UK and embrace only one culture. The last immersion breaking point, we were supposed to experience the world threatened by the almighty gods who gained their freedom and probably were pissed with Solace, but the game didn't show it. It told us so through letters and over-explaining, and surprisingly, through cuteness. As a separate thing, cuteness and sweet characters are fun. My husband romanced Harding as a dwarf himself. It looked charming, and we found this romance adorable.
Or it's love.
You boob! This is not funny! Okay, I'll fix it. I promise.
But you know what is also adorable? Kittens.
Those bastards made me get rid of my cat. Almost got ripped in half by a Genlock once. He swatted the bugger on the nose. Drew blood too. The blighted warden said he made me too soft.
You'll ask me, Mila, why are we talking about kittens suddenly?
Because it adds character to a place, you goose.
Exactly. The Veilguard disconnects gamers from the epic apocalyptic event by pushing them into a pool of cuteness and cute dialogues while providing numerous flashcards with confirmations of what you have just done. I know what happened, and I've been there. I made the choice. Why does this game treat me as if I'm not the brightest bulb in the family? As I said, I liked that there were puzzles in the game, however, it doesn't make any sense to get bombarded with hints. They don't give you the time to look around. Your companions tell you what to do immediately. The game doesn't want you to think. It wants you to think what it needs you to think in order to enjoy the story, the puzzles, and the environment with the mystery around it. This trick works only with either not very experienced gamers or with 1000% lore fans who read and consumed everything. I read Tevinter Nights but didn't pay attention to comics before I decided to focus my attention on lore videos for a future Dragon Age game. I remember that Bioware said that you don't need to read books and comics to understand what was happening, and that was a lie. Not because of the lack of information, we have plenty of info dumps in the game, but because of mental readiness to believe in the simplicity of the unraveling story. The way puzzles are predictable, the story is predictable too. My husband told me straight away that Varric was dead, and my main argument against it was that no one was mourning his death, and we didn't see any body, his body especially. We didn't have any funeral or any other ceremony to say goodbye. Harding, who spent tons of time with Varric, was fine and entered the room looking for medicine as if nothing had happened.
Sorry, I didn't mean to barge in. I was just looking for Elfruit.
No, it's fine. I was just going to stretch my legs.
Oh, Rook. Watch your step out there. If you put a foot wrong, you'll fall forever. Yeah, on top of everything else, the Illuvian took us to the Fade. The place where dreams come from, so... that. Yeah.
Then I really need to look around.
Yeah, you should. And we should talk about things. Maybe find Nev. She's outside, looking around. There's a room with a table down the stairs. I'll meet you there.
That behavior would have been absurd if Varric had indeed died. My husband's counter-argument was, yeah, but no one looks at Varric or reacts to his lines.
Go ahead, Rook. I need to sleep. See you later, kid.
And here we are slowly transitioning from the topic of puzzles and mystery to writing. The story and characters used to be the cornerstone that connected all Dragon Age games, even though they had different art styles, gameplay, and dynamics. Cuteness and social anxiety are the opposite values of the world destruction and fellowship in a story. I added plus 0.5 to the rating for bravery to mix the unmixable. Their job was undeveloped though, and illogical in most cases. However, the potential was enormous. Why am I so vigilant when it comes to writing and characters? Because of my chaotic and adventurous life. I have 2 degrees in management and in psychology. I worked in sales and marketing. I published 2 fantasy novels in English, and one of my books is displayed in the Bodleian Library and 4 other biggest libraries in the UK and Ireland, even though I'm an indie author and had no traditional publisher. Now, I teach people how to communicate as a part of my job, and I also play video games to relax and enjoy the depth of whatever story I roleplay. I am a thinker, and Dragon Age used to be for those kinds of people when it came to writing. So, I speak from real-life experience. The writing in this game looks like a second draft for many quest lines, as if there was one story about the Grey Wardens and the epic ending from the previous team of writers, while different groups of people created all other things. During the first playthrough, I couldn't shake off the haunting feeling that I was at work, using my psychological degree to identify a person who was traumatized by therapy and now acts pristine to be safe or to prove something, though it makes no sense for a fictional character at all.
You can trust them.
What's your name?
It's okay. We're here to help.
Nothing to be afraid of.
Or another thing, the traumatized character listens to Rook just because Rook asked them to be nice and friendly.
Harding, does it really matter if Emmrich brings 8 books?
9, actually.
And Emmrich, so what if Harding is fine sleeping on dirt?
Not all the time. Okay, Rook, I know. This trip's supposed to be fun.
I really have looked forward to you showing me more of your home, Harding.
Me too. Oh, and I'll make us sandwiches.
Ah, your famous ham and jam slam?
Yeah, like grown-up people who have seen violence and rivers of blood couldn't solve it differently without the all-understanding protagonist. Lighthouse is not corporate in its ambience. Why is everyone so cautious and cute? We are talking about professionals who killed creatures and people, probably, in the past. Professionals with unique abilities to stop the gods, not a bunch of cheerleaders. At this illogical point of narration, I was adamant that the Veilguard wasn't made for people of my niche. For the first time, Dragon Age wasn't made for thinkers who enjoy complex writing, and as I mentioned in the chapter about puzzles, the game punishes you if you take your time to think. The number of times when writing broke the character arcs due to disrespect to characters' past and the dynamic with other companions is insane. The only explanation for that is that the lighthouse has a shrink that gamers didn't see. That would be a perfect solution to explain why they are not hostile enough but agreeable to peaceful chats and decisions in their relationships. I don't know, like a spirit of acceptance or a speaking wisp of wisdom.
A caretaker. I go where I am needed, dweller. Now, I am here.
That might be caretaker. Why not? Anything to create a unifying thread to this chaotic, illogical filter of artificial traumas. One tiny extra line or one tiny extra character that would explain it and the dialogues wouldn't feel so fake. I don't want to be more creative and smarter than professional writers to solve their plot holes. I'm afraid either game developers became poorly educated, which is absolutely not true, or they had choking censorship and eventually suffocated the story, and the story lost its mystery and its soul. Yes, sometimes you need to break the rules to create something new, but doing it blindly in different niches triggers the chain of events that Dragon Age community is experiencing now.
It isn't just Inquisitor, is it? You were someone before that.
Clan Llewellyn. We try to be no one you've heard of. Morrigan is holding a perimeter. We're alone. Tell me what Solus did at Elganon's ritual.
Sounds like you already know.
I need to hear it from you.
Solus helped us get through, but he was protecting his interests, not us.
You don't think he helped for genuine reasons?
One thing I've learned in this job is that the people I need the most are people who can tell me when I'm wrong.
We all need that sometimes.
It sounds like that's what you were for Solus. If the two of you were better people together and you were happy too...
I was.
This is all hypothetical anyway. He's trapped in the Fade with no way out.
He's surprised us before. But enough about me. Tell me about you and Emmrich.
What? Who? How?
Morrigan has eyes everywhere.
Oh, of course she does.
That kind of writing is good for fanfiction when I was 16. I shouldn't be smarter than a bunch of professionals who work for a big corporation, especially when it comes to Dragon Age. A sheer horror, I'm not joking. Okay, sorry, I'm slipping into drama, but I have to say it. I was horrified listening to over-explanation of the Evanuris lore that was copy-pasted from Reddit theories and fandom forums till the tiniest elven lullaby that basically explains why Harding has magic. Most of that even looked like a common thread. Oh, it's like that now. Yeah, but how? Oh, it's because of that. Oh, sorry, but that doesn't explain. What about this other thing then? Well, with the Evanuris out in the world, the rules have changed. Why? The Veil is still there, and it's in a much better shape than we had in Dragon Age Inquisition. Elgar'nan and Gillenane are nothing but spirits with bodies who spiced their magic with blight, which is now identified as Titan's dreams. While walking in Arltham Forest, Belara said that the blight acts strange and absorbs magic from that place. Okay, it will explain the Evanuris' strength at spellcasting, but it doesn't explain why Asea survived for centuries.
What a terrible form of immortality has fallen upon Asea.
Gloomhound, Asea, should have died ages ago, warden or not.
Why does the blight kill most people it touches, yet infuse a few with this dreadful vitality?
No idea. If I ever go bad like that, have Taj breathe on me. Go out in a blaze.
Why Anaris the Forgotten One escaped from his prison in the Abyss made by Solus the very same way he made it for the Evanuris. And it doesn't explain many other things, really. Okay, let's imagine that the Blighted Gods are magic faucets or portals that pour more magic into the world so that stuff happens, right? By that logic, a lot of strange things should have been happening already because Mythal, Solus, and at least two other Forgotten Ones, if we trust Anaris and the new lore, were in the material world. Their influence makes no sense because the only thing Gillenane did with her ability to create life with the Blight is a new red lyrium dagger, more darkspawn, and blighted bubbles with tentacles with a bunch of people who get easily manipulated. As a thinking person who writes herself, that trick, it has a name, so that was a trick for a huge plot hole which authors use to cover their asses when they mess up. Magic is magical. The Evanuris are different. A Grey Warden doesn't die from the Blight for centuries, sometimes because she's a special blood mage ghoul. Anaris escapes his prison in the Void or the Abyss, which canonically is still connected to the realm of Titans, but hey, the Evanuris came back, so oops, the rules are different. The power of the author is that whatever story is written by the official group of writers becomes new lore, even if it's inconsistent or illogical. Basically, Bioware wants the lore fans build more theories so that you guys will explain all the plot holes yourself, and then they will copy-paste them from Reddit again. So after that explanation about the Evanuris, I disconnected from the game even more and came back somewhere in Antiva. I read that many people were disappointed in their friendly communication and romance interests. The feature with gifts granted us nothing but thank you, Rook.
How thoughtful, Rook.
At first, I thought it was a bug and reloaded my save. It was shockingly poor compared to the previous games that had extra scenes. But no, that was what we had. I read that those who romanced Emmrich were the lucky ones. Well, truly, his questline was charming and good, except one episode. I'll add a penny there a little bit later. Many were confused with Lucanus' romance because it has less meaningful content with Rook than with Nev, and a lot of fans waited for Lucanus, really. And okay, all romances, they were too short, or goofy, or not believable, or not spicy, etc, etc. I read many posts about it. Lucanus was supposed to be a mess, and people think that he's bugged, that there should be more content because he doesn't feel like a mess. And of course people remember the character who was written like a mess and start to compare. Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3 is a mess. Lucanus is a stylish coffee addict with a funny passenger, even though I enjoyed his character a lot. Also, many wrote that they were confused with the kissing scene and the dark screen without any continuation, and I can't blame them. It's 2024 after Baldur's Gate 3. We experienced something of an excellent quality, and going back to 2014 is nostalgic but weird. Even Inquisition had more content regarding romance. My relationship quest with Emmrich was full of gentle romantic scenes, but suddenly it felt off because of Rook. During the whole game, I hoped that at least the romance line was well written, as many fans enjoyed this aspect of Dragon Age games, and modern Bioware created all this cuteness and dialogues knowing their audience and the market. I was wrong again. Do you know what this mature gentleman did? Emmrich acted like his character, using the past he had and the fear of mortality he possessed. He exposed his vulnerability for the first time after he revealed his dark secret. It happened at the right time to create the emotional moment. It was beautiful. He acted out of his fear for the first time, rather gently, considering the amount of stress everyone was under. And the all-understanding Rook flipped the situation and accused him of being insecure. And that wasn't even my choice. Rook accused a man she was supposed to love, like, or at least care about. He was breaking down before her eyes. He had a delusional hope that they would survive to have a future together, and Rook, well, you know what, I will show you.
The eve before we kill a god, my thoughts turn to mortality and what we are to each other.
All right.
Even if you one day hear the Warden's calling, it's likely you'll still outlive me. You've grown to mean much to me, and I care for you, Rook. Deeply. But there are such years between us, I shouldn't heap you with that burden.
You're breaking my heart by worrying.
Darling, I only wish to be fair to you.
I know what I'm getting into.
At your age?
Oh, don't start.
We must consider this.
You're overthinking it, and it's not the time.
One of us needs to consider my mortality.
Because you're worried about me or insecure about you?
Why? Why is she a bitch out of a sudden? You know what happened then while they were smashing mobs to fight their way to get to the gods? There was a banter. Unfortunately, I didn't record it, but Emmrich wanted to apologize, but Rook said they would do it later. So the game dictated that he was to blame, and Rook did nothing to feel sorry about. Emmrich must apologize for being the character he is, and Rook is too busy to give him 5 seconds. Another thing is that all characters feel undeveloped. I had that weird feeling that something was missing. Then I realized that the only details about their past, fears, or personal life were forced by quests. We can't be curious with our companions as there are no chat options. It would add depth to characters if we learned about Emmrich's favorite rituals, who was Davrin's best friend in his Dalish clan, or why Harding changed her personality since Inquisition because now she's an adorable pumpkin instead of a focused scout. I don't know. So something personal and unique. By the way, it will be an awesome thing to talk about, so if you have ideas, please write what kind of questions you'd like to ask any companion in the Veilguard. That will be fun. You guys are lucky because you are getting some extra thoughts and one more review from my husband, who is not as connected to Dragon Age lore as I am. He played Origins multiple times and enjoyed the lore and the setting a lot back then. However, Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition came at the wrong time, and he hasn't been invested as much as before since then. Having said that, he just likes playing video games, and he can focus on the good sides without being dragged down by the imperfect sides too much. He did enjoy the game, and he had his fun despite the obvious drawbacks in storytelling and writing, which he could simply skip, laugh, and move on. Yes, it is very far from his top games, and his favorite game of all times is Neverwinter Nights. But there is still some fun to be had from pure gameplay point and bits of story that are actually good. And he says that Dragon Age, first and foremost, is a game about the Blight and Grey Wardens, and those parts of the game are not bad at all. I agree with my husband here. The missions with the Grey Wardens are the best in the game. However, there is another point from me who's still shocked that my Grey Warden Rook was lectured what Blight is and what Grey Wardens do. Is it a Grey Warden who failed her exams or had amnesia? I don't know. Anyway, we can only laugh at this point. If you ask me what are the most memorable quests from the Veilguard, I'll say the Grey Warden missions, Emmrich with his candle rites in the gardens, Efka and Antoine with the blue flowers, and the final quest. These quests felt like Dragon Age. They were unifying, brought hope, and showed character. They were beautifully written and had depth. The rest of the writing, including banter, side quests, companions quests, and the main story, had a lot of cuteness or potential. By the way, did you notice that all companions' quests, except for Harding and Lucanis, were about stopping some kind of ritual? That was rather surprising, so I could feel that the stories were either copy-pasted or chopped off for whatever reason, or undeveloped. The first explanation, well, they probably didn't have time, but I think they had plenty. The root problem is a conspiracy theory, but I guess you heard that Mass Effect show was confirmed again. It will be an Amazon project, and one of the film producers is the person who made Marvel films. I'm speculating here, but what if the Veilguard was made as a marketing shuttle for Bioware fans to mentally adapt for expectations for the future show created by people who were involved into Marvel films? It will explain all these superhero style and posture, pompous character lines and other stuff really. Maybe they will even make a Dragon Age show eventually, I don't know. The next Mass Effect game may have the same style and writing. So I truly think that the Veilguard wasn't made for my niche to play or for us to enjoy the story. It was made to filter the community and mentally prepare us for the future. Now you tell me, is this filtering working? The game is good for finding closure for Solas' story, and it's fun in terms of fighting and exploring. I enjoyed it a lot. Kudos for entertaining combat and the possibility to change builds whenever you become bored or when the current fighting style is not preferable for a particular boss. Honestly, you don't even need to use combos that much if both of your companions have controlling abilities. Like Belara and Nev, can create an electric vortex of freezing blizzard to drag all enemies into one place and then freeze them so that Rook can smash them to ice bits. Tosh and Davrin taunt enemies while making Rook invulnerable. There are many opportunities really, so if you are tired of detonations, you can use companions that have no combos and it feels absolutely different. I tried everything but stayed with the Necro Healer build as I predicted before the Veilguard was launched. That was a fun build, really. I didn't experience any problems with the action wheel while playing as a mage. However, my husband asked me to add that playing as a warrior, your companions are nothing but detonators and healers, and you can't really feel them fighting because it's all very repetitive. My mage experience was more pleasant, changeable and dynamic than his warrior playthrough. He also tried all options but came back to the original fire build with a shield. We collectively came up with an understanding that a player finds a set of 4 favorable abilities very early in the game and nothing changes. It would be more interesting if the game rewarded our level up with at least 2 more abilities so that we could choose different rotations of skills within one build without losing balance in combat. Some abilities like Arcane Shot for mages always deals fire damage and all mages have it by default. It would be better if this ability reflected the staff type of damage, for example. Going back to builds and respec, even though it is very convenient to change skills, it can be rather time-consuming without presets or like a special tabs with ready builds. So at the same time, you have 50 plus skill points to assign, massive amounts of different armor, trinkets and weapons, and we also have enchantments that can be changed only at the Caretaker workshop. And let's not forget that we do not have unlimited money to buy all the possible gear in the game. Smashing boxes for coins becomes a chore in the middle of the game. So at some point you just start focusing on your favorable build, buying very specific gear pieces while neglecting everything else. The system is good at its core and variable, but leaves a confusing aftertaste because of the economics in the game. This analytical review is a new concept for me. Believe me, I never thought I would create that kind of content after playing the new Dragon Age game. I was sure that no matter what, I would adore it because of the writing. It always was the strongest point in Dragon Age for me, but telling lies will kill my conscience. I play many video games, so this channel won't focus on Dragon Age exclusively, and refusing to see the deeper levels of the problem is simply not my style. You know me by my lore videos, so I always dig a little bit deeper. The reason why the Veilguard left many of us confused could be the one that I told you about growing up, or the Mass Effect show, or a little bit of everything. Did I enjoy the game? Well, it was fun. Do I want to play it again? Not any moment soon. I tried multiple times to continue my rogue playthrough, and the moment I started skipping cutscenes, I realized that the game was smaller and more linear than it seemed at first. So my analytical rating is 7 out of 10 because Bioware changed the niche. It just happened so that this niche wasn't mine. The Veilguard is a perfect game for those who just joined the gaming community and want to experience a rich fantasy world without diving too deep and thinking too much. My fangirl rating is 5.5 out of 10, which hurts me a lot. Such a mediocre rating comes because I'm not a fan of the new character art style, simplified lore changes, borrowed fun theories, and incredibly disconnected writing that broke my immersion every few hours. Oh, also the glitch with my mouse that I told you about before, that it stopped working sometimes. I fixed it by saving the game every time it happened. Why did it fix the problem? I have no idea. Anyway, the Veilguard is a nice and fun game if you play it once and you don't really care about the writing. Manfred is my favorite character, and in my playthrough he even began talking and he wore the coolest coat ever. If you like the game more than me, that's amazing. It only means that you will replay it again and have even more fun. I will make videos about the lore points that made sense to me, so we shall see where it will lead my channel. For now, have fun, play video games, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!